There's three things when I look at this Yankees squad that inform me on why they are good. One, they have really good starting pitching, and we've talked about this all season long. For the large part of the season, they were getting a depth for you, getting into the sixth and seventh innings. Garrett Cole did that last night as well. He did his job. He did exactly what he is supposed to do. The first component of this Yankees success in 2022 has been their starting pitching. Number two, they've just been raking, right? They hit a ton of home runs. They've scored already 453 runs, I believe it is, which is the most in Major League Baseball. They have an enormous run differential because the starting pitching and the run and scoring of runs go hand in hand. They're doing these things, right? Aaron Judge is already got he's got 30 home runs on the season. Giancarlo Stanton, who missed some time with a calf injury a few weeks ago, he's got 22 home runs. Rizzo's right behind him with 22 home runs. These guys are putting up big OPSs and reliably scoring. The only issue is we see when Judge doesn't play or he doesn't hit, the Yankees have problems scoring runs. We've hit that many times before. I'll keep bringing it up because it is a big part of this conversation. And then the third thing, obviously starting pitching, being able to score runs. The third thing, it's simple. It's the bullpen. When you get the starter out of the game, you got to rely on the bullpen. And this bullpen has been fantastic for most of this season. In fact, with a 2.8 collective ERA on the season, they are second only to the Houston Astros, who have a 2.6 ERA. And it's Michael King, it's Clay Holmes, it's Wander Peralta. All of these guys have been so good in the bull. Even Castro was good, even though he gave up he had a blown save against the Red Sox. So all of these things have worked in conjunction for the New York Yankees to currently sit at 61-26. The best record, obviously, in the East. They're winning by 13 and a half games in the East, or actually 14 and a half games in the East. They have the best record in the American League. They have the best record in baseball. The Yankees are the best team in baseball because of all of these things. Starting pitching, they hit consistently and score. They bludgeon bad pitchers when you get into the bullpen and when their bullpen, and then when you get into their bullpen, it's been beyond reproach. Clay Holmes has been fantastic, pitching to a sub-1 ERA until last night. And this is where I start to have some concerns. Not big ones, because they can obviously turn it around, but this is the wake-up call. The last three games for the New York Yankees have all been about bullpen failures. Now, there's other things that you could throw in, but when you get to the bullpen, when you get to this Yankees bullpen, the belief has been that it's over, right? We're closing the door on you. I don't care who it is. We're shutting the door and we're slamming it shut so that you have no chance to get back. Clay Holmes has been a marvel. He's an all-star this year. I don't want to say he came out of nowhere because I think he worked to this point. He put himself in position. He learned some new pitches and a new pitch, and he became dominant. One of the best closers in baseball. But he's blown saves in two of his last three games, including last night. In fact, he didn't get an out last night in the five batters that he faced. You go back to the previous game against the Boston Red Sox, a game in which their starting pitching also let them down. One of the three components, the starting pitching let them down, didn't get deep, only to the fifth inning. And then Aroldis Chapman, remember him? Aroldis Chapman comes back into the pitcher, and he gives up a single, gives up a walk. All of a sudden, the bases are loaded, and the next thing you know, this thing gets blown open by the Boston Red Sox. You go back to the third game, the three games back in Boston. The Yankees are up 3-2 in the eighth. Again, Judge isn't hitting, so they don't score a ton of runs, but they're up 3-2 in the eighth. And then Michael King gives up a double to J.D. Davis. And this is with two outs, by the way. He gets pulled, and then all of a sudden Clay Holmes, he comes in, he gives up a walk, and then gives up a hit that leads to a tie. Now, the Yankees do what they're supposed to do. They scored 2 runs in the 10th inning, and it looks like they're going to sneak away with a third in a row against the Boston Red Sox. But what happens? The bullpen gives it up. Wander blows a save, and the Boston Red Sox steal that game. So now this is 3 games in a row One of them you can also start this, point to starting pitching. This is 3 games in a row where the Yankees bullpen, which all season long we've been talking about being beyond reproach, the best bullpen in baseball. Yeah, they got good starting pitching. All they got to do is get to the bullpen. If they get there in the 7th, 8th, 9th inning, we know that the Yankees are going to get it done. They're faltering, and it's faltering maybe because of complacency. And I don't want to put this on Aaron Boone. I don't want to put it on each individual. I want to put it on the collective dominance of the Yankees. They're getting too comfortable being great. And it's hard to say because when you're great, you just you think it's just going to happen. But they've gotten comfortable being great until the little things, whether it's, not tolling a pitch or giving up a walk as opposed to a hit, whatever those things are, the Yankees aren't doing as acutely and as intentionally as they have previously been doing it. And it's cost them 3 games in a row. Now, again, it's a cyclical nature of the game. It's baseball. 3 games in a row is nothing. They've had winning streaks of 11, I believe, is their most of this season so far. They could flip this thing around right before the All-Star break and, win the next 2 against the Reds and then just storm their way in. But I think this is a warning, and it's an important one. No matter how good you are, Yankees fans, no matter how good you think you are, you can't get complacent. Because when you get complacent, the other guys are paid too. That's what we talk about all the time in sport. That other guy, he is paid as well. The Yankees bullpen, which has been such a big part of their success, these last 3 games, they've kind of let them down. Our friends at Town Fair Tire remind you that at Town Fair Tire, you always get the guaranteed lowest price on name brand tires from Connecticut to Maine. Nobody beats Town Fair Tire. Nobody. Tiki Barber here on WFAN taking your calls at 877-337-6666. I think I said that wrong at the top of the show. 337-6666. 877-337-6666. And, one of the things that I think makes this not worrisome, but the thing that I've always believed that athletes, really anybody who gets an accolade, should use that accolade as a springboard to just being greater, right? And I think about the all-star assignments that have happened for the New York Yankees this year. Obviously, Aaron Judge is going to be an all-star. We knew that because he's the top MVP candidate in the American League. Giancarlo Stanton, despite missing a little bit of time, he's been raking, and he's scary at the plate. He scares opposing pitching staffs, especially because how they run their lineup out there. You get the Trevino behind the dish. His all-star appearance. That was a great moment where Aaron Boone tells him that he makes an all-star, and it just feels like this. It feels like things are how they're supposed to be. Garrett Cole, he better be an all-star, because if he's not, then things are going wrong with this Yankees team for a guy that they're paying that much money. Nestor Cortez, who was one of the really fun stories at the beginning of the season, he's come a little bit back to earth, not a ton, but a little bit back to earth when you talk about how he's been in his last few starts. But he's still a great story. He's still a really reliable starting pitcher for this New York Yankees team. And so Garrett Cole and Nestor Cortez, we knew that was going to happen. Clay Holmes, who didn't start this season as the closer, all of a sudden he's the guy. Aroldis Chapman goes down with an Achilles injury, and Clay Holmes has to take over, and he's actually better than Aroldis Chapman. And all of these guys become all-stars. And the problem sometimes when you're as good as your record tells you, right? That whole cliche, you are what your record says you are. You're as good as your record tells you. You start to get these little pats on the back. Hey, good job, man. You're going to the All-Star game. You're going to be in Los Angeles. You're going to have on the gold All-Star uniform, and I guess you'll wear your hat, but who knows? You wear your hat, right? Congratulations on all your success. You start to believe it sometimes. And sometimes it just takes a little bit of a step down from your game for people to catch up. And that's what I feel like is happening. That complacency that's stepping over this Yankees team as they get ready to go into this All-Star break. And for a good portion of their reasons of their success, they're not going to have a break. And so maybe you just take a step back. You take a step back emotionally. You take a step back a little bit physically. And teams and other players, they catch up really, really quickly. 877-337-6666. What do you think about this? Are you worried about the Yankees? Are you worried about their complacency? Do you believe that they have the wherewithal to push through this? Or is this just the first little, cut in the larger picture? Teams are, I don't want to say catching up, but teams aren't necessarily scared of the Yankees. I mean, the Reds are bad. They're one of the worst teams in baseball right now. The Reds are. And for whatever reason, they found a way to fight. I mean, this game felt like it was over. In fact, I was hardly paying attention to this game, paying more attention to the Mets game last night. The Yankees had a 3-run lead. You just kind of stop worrying about them because you know they're going to do what they always do, which is find ways to keep scoring. And when you get to the bullpen, they're going to take care of it. The Reds, who are currently 33-54, I mean, they have just a few more wins than the Yankees have losses on the season. Cincinnati Reds are not a good team. They're a team that's supposed to, when you're playing the mighty New York Yankees at home, at least on the road for the Cincinnati Reds, playing the mighty New York Yankees, and you're not playing well to that point. Garrett Cole, their ace, is shutting you down. He had a great outing, Garrett Cole. The Cincinnati Reds are a team that are supposed to just lay down. They're supposed to just let this thing happen. The Cincinnati Reds find a way to come back and win this game. And it's not eye-opening, it's not alarming, but it does ring of a little bit of complacency. And for a team that we expect to be great, for a team that we know is great, I think that the bullpen and the complacency that we've seen, or the maybe you call it bad luck, but I'm going to say it's complacency that we've seen over the last 3 games, because it's going back to the Red Sox series, those 2 games in which they had leads in latter halves of the game against Boston, and we give it up in the 8th, and Boston, where they just had a run once Chapman came in the 6th and blew that last Boston game open, and then the Reds in the 9th inning scoring 4 runs off one of the best, if not the best closer in baseball, and Clay Holmes last night. It's something that opens your eyes a little bit. Again, not going to be overly worried, but I am going to think about it a little bit more than I thought I would have.